I need the scoop.
A father-in-law's false accusation tears a family apart when a husband is publicly branded a thief over a missing iPad. I'm diving into a Reddit story that exposes how quickly family loyalty can crumble under pressure. Get ready for a heartbreaking tale of betrayal, abandonment, and one man's fight to protect both his dignity and his daughter while his marriage hangs by a thread.
My wife and I aren't in a good place. It's not a fun feeling. I feel context is important here. We're college sweethearts married for 6 years and have a 4-year-old daughter. Our constant hurdle is family. It's like having to validate our relationship. I always thought my wife was worth it though. I haven't felt for anyone else the way I do about her. My wife's family is very old school. They're conservative in their beliefs and values. My father-in-law is treated as the captain and looked to as the head. My relationship with him was never smooth. Not for my lack of trying. Him putting up with me only came after my daughter. I don't believe he's ever thought I was good enough for his daughter. I wasn't his first choice or in his top 5. I don't share their gated community or fancy school's background. My father-in-law always had some backhanded remark about my upbringing. During a family gathering at my in-laws last Christmas, my father-in-law's iPad went missing. He blew a fuse and accused me of stealing it. His reasoning was there was a period of time I was alone in the house. I was never actually alone in the house. I was helping my mother-in-law in the kitchen because people were kicking back their feet while she was slaving away for a big family. There was no reasoning with him. He called the police and actually told the officers how a real man would own up when caught. But I was never taught to be a man. Another backhanded remark. I was raised in a household of women. My father-in-law expressed once that only a man can raise a boy into a man. I spoke up for myself during his rantings. The whole situation was humiliating, but I had nothing to hide. The officers had to de-escalate and stood around until everyone went their separate ways. My father-in-law did a smear campaign on social media, accusing me of theft and saying how I wasn't family. Some real vicious stuff was said. It impacted my life. I lost a job opportunity because his post came up in the vetting process. The company was rebranding and didn't want drama associated. Essentially, I was shunned from the family. There were those who didn't agree with my father-in-law, but they wanted to stay out of it. No one wanted to cross him. I was no longer welcomed on my in-laws' property until I confessed and apologised. My wife still attended everything without me and took our daughter with her even on New Year's Eve. I wanted to spend it with her and our daughter, but she chose to appease her dad and keep tradition. During all of my father-in-law's accusations, the smear campaign and shunning, my wife didn't lend me support in any way. She bowed to her dad and would tell me to just apologise. She said I was being stubborn by refusing. It wasn't about apologising. My father-in-law wanted me to beg. I'm not a prideful person, but I'm not getting on my knees and pleading for forgiveness for something I didn't commit. My wife said she was only trying to keep the peace instead of being right. Once my father-in-law badmouthed me around our daughter, and my wife never spoke up. She claimed she didn't hear him. I don't believe she would have done anything either way. Our daughter kept me afloat. I put my foot down on her attending gatherings after the bad-mouthing. My wife accused me of escalating by withholding our daughter. I felt my father-in-law tried to influence my child against me. My move was for boundaries. I wasn't asking my wife to cut off her dad. I know how important family is to her. But we're married. We have a child. We made vows. I only wanted her to be there for me as my partner and best friend. She abandoned me. I had more support from my mother-in-law and sister-in-law than I ever did from her. We fought a lot. We were pushed to a new level of argument. I held everything in and we'd blow up. My wife said she dealt with her dad her whole life, and she learned sometimes it was better to just yield. About a month ago, my name was cleared. My sister-in-law found the iPad in her 9-year-old son's room. He confessed to taking it. He was afraid to say anything after my father-in-law's reaction to me. My father-in-law has never apologised or publicly recanted. He acts like nothing happened, and the rest of the family followed suit. He had my mother-in-law relay that I was welcome to their home again. Others began inviting me to functions. I've declined for myself and my daughter. I'm not holding grudges or using my daughter as punishment. I saw who my father-in-law was clearly. I don't want any involvement with him unless necessary, nor is my daughter allowed to have unsupervised visits with him. I don't want her exposed to the ugliness. The situation remains a sore on my marriage. My wife won't talk about it. If I try, she says I'm throwing the past in her face. I'm just trying to open up to her about how everything still affects me. She feels I'm not working toward keeping the peace. My father-in-law falsely accused me of theft, led a smear campaign, badmouthed me around our daughter, and was enabled by some family. This is me keeping the peace. I don't know if this post is the right call. My wife wouldn't approve, but there's no talking to her about this in any real way. I'm lost. We've never been so disconnected. I'm in love with her. I wouldn't have stayed if I wasn't. I want to work on our marriage and do right by our daughter. I don't regret my choice on my father-in-law, but I am questioning if I'm making things worse. I feel alone. I need a fresh perspective. How do I move forward as healthily as possible for my marriage when I don't know where to step? She knew I didn't do it. She just never stood up to her dad in any way or offer any support. She folded and checked out on me and left it to me to meet these demands of taking ownership. It's made me question our relationship. I mentioned counselling and she said we didn't need more people in family business. I honestly didn't know things were this bad with her dad until later. The most distant she got from him was when we were in college. She had purposefully chosen a school further away from home and didn't go home as much on breaks. She said she just wanted to break off on her own. Her work took us back near her parents and she kind of went back into the fold. But even then, I didn't expect her to just ditch me like she did. We faced some pushback from my father-in-law before and her position wasn't so severe. I feel like when things blew up, she had to make a decision and she chose to go along to get along with her dad. What hurts is that she knew I wasn't guilty but still chose him. Even in private, there were no words of comfort from her. She just kept urging me to apologise to her dad.
The community rallied around the original poster, with many pointing out that his problem wasn't just with his father-in-law, but with his wife's failure to support him. The emotional isolation took its toll as he struggled to find any path forward in his marriage. 1 week after sharing his story, the husband made a decision that would force his wife to finally confront the damage her silence had caused.
I want to thank everyone for the support. I appreciate it. The original post was the first time I put everything out there and didn't feel dismissed. The situation with my father-in-law was extensive and largely unaddressed by my wife. It occurred to me that, not being able to open up to her, I didn't know how to communicate with her anymore. The feedback I received was a real eye-opener. My issue isn't isolated to my father-in-law. This isn't solely a spat with in-laws. It's an issue involving my wife. Things with my father-in-law are what they are. I'm not seeking a deeper connection with him. We're in-laws, nothing more, nothing less. And he made it abundantly clear in his smear campaign that I wasn't family but a hurdle the family needed to overcome. My concern is my wife and our 4-year-old daughter. They're my family and my focus. That said, I realise I can't make my wife do anything. I can't make her communicate with me. I can't make her instill boundaries with her dad. I only have a say for myself and our daughter. I know something needs to change. Our marriage can't be sustained this way. It's not good for anyone, especially our daughter. After getting my feelings out, I felt more resolved with what I needed to do. I told my wife about the original post. She's seen it in some comments. She wasn't thrilled, but to her credit, she didn't automatically shut me down like usual. She was open to hearing what I had to say. I don't know if ultimatum is the right term because I wasn't trying to force her to choose anything. I'm just trying to implement boundaries for our daughter and our marriage. I told her that things needed to change because our marriage couldn't survive like this. No one should feel alone or abandoned in their marriage. The options were either couples therapy or separation. She didn't take to separation well. She seemed repulsed by it. She said she knew we weren't in a good place, but she didn't realise that was where I was at and how we made vows and our bond is supposed to withstand. She feels her dad shouldn't take away from us. I told her I wasn't taking separation lightly. Our vows do mean something, but whether she admits it or not, she checked out on our vows in favour of her dad. It wasn't keeping the peace. It was me drowning while she was on her dad's boat and never tossed me a line. Our issues are bigger than just her dad. Our current way, isn't it? My wife chose therapy. We found a therapist and it's officially scheduled. I want to be hopeful, but that's not something I've let myself feel for a bit now. I don't believe she was only telling me what she thought I wanted to hear. I saw the reality of it hit her when separation was put on the table. I asked her if marriage counselling was something she really wanted. I'm not talking about the sometimes. It's better to yield things she said about her dad or for keeping the peace. I was asking what she genuinely wanted. She said it was and that she doesn't want to lose our relationship or our family. Some have questioned why I'd want to try working on my marriage. It's not about staying for our daughter. I want to make a real attempt for my family and see if things can be mended. I know there's more to my wife than just my father-in-law. I fell in love with her because of who she was as a person. When we met and got to know each other, it was away from her dad. I saw how caring she was for others, even if she didn't agree with their point of view, how decent she was, and how she had a weight off her shoulders with distance from her dad's shadow. My wife is the youngest of her siblings, and I would say my in-laws hold on to her more tightly. I didn't know how bad things were until I actually dealt with my father-in-law. It's why she chose a long-distance school and didn't go home on breaks often. Her work moved us closer to home, and she was back into the fold fully. My father-in-law's smear campaign was our first major obstacle following that. I'm in love with my wife, but I'm not speaking out of blind love. Whether we're together or not, I want the best for her. Part of my hope for marriage counselling is that she regains sight of herself separate from her dad and sees that boundaries for herself aren't crossing a line. Maybe we can recover together and come out better for it. I know we got married a little young. Trust me, we'd heard our fair share from the skeptics, but I was always sure of my wife. Marriage wasn't something I took lightly. I didn't expect there to be nothing but clear skies, but we should want more from each other. Being there for each other and emotional intimacy are the bare minimum. We should be a team. Our family is the core before any other relationship. To me, our vows mean consciously choosing each other and committing to each other even when it's hard. I don't know what marriage counselling will bring. It'll be my first experience with therapy. All I can do is take everything one step at a time and reaffirm boundaries for myself and my daughter. I'm not withholding my daughter as punishment or holding grudges. I don't even want an apology from my father-in-law because I know it'll be empty. I'm just done giving him any more power. I'm protecting my daughter too. My father-in-law isn't allowed any unsupervised visits with my daughter. He lost that privilege when he decided to include her in his vendetta and bad-mouth me around her. Though he quietly deleted his social media posts about me, he never recanted anything. His allegations are probably still a reality for some. He acts like nothing happened. I just want nothing to do with him beyond what's necessary. I do think moving away to our own space would be beneficial. It would offer the balance we had before when my wife was away from her father's influence. To those who haven't experienced something like this, I hope you never will, and for those in a similar struggle, I hope for nothing but the best for you. You're not alone. Thank you for showing me that I'm not either.
Sometimes the hardest battles we fight are with the people who promise to stand beside us through anything. This story reminds us that true courage often means setting boundaries, even when it feels like you're standing alone. Subscribe to stay updated on whether this couple's therapy journey leads to healing or separation. Share your thoughts on family loyalty versus marital bonds in the comments, and explore our other videos about rebuilding trust in relationships that have been deeply damaged.